Ladies and gentlemen, here we have another exciting excerpt of the Scouser and the Scot. However, this one's a bit different. We're branching out. Me and the Scouse mate here have a lot more to do. And one of the things we want to do is talk to bands and give them a feature and focus on them.
So we have a familiar face, one which I've known for years and years and years, and seen him previous bands, supported him. He's given me the eyebrow already. Jonno, let's cut the crap, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, mate.
Everyone, this is Jonno from the Black Tree Vultures. He's absolute legend. Jonno, say hello and get everyone on board, mate.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. You're very, very kind. That's the nicest introduction I've ever had in my life, ever.
Wait till the end.
Me that review. Do you know what I mean? And I'm her son. So, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm grand. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to talk to other human beings. You know.
Yeah, there is that, mate, isn't there? I mean, it is got a bit like that. When we started doing these, a year or so ago, we started doing these, and it was very much at that time, Zoom was the only way you got to meet anybody. So me and Ian used to sit and cram them in. We used to do about 4 in a week, and it was just great because it was only people we were talking to.
It was just a release, isn't it? But now everyone's escaping. We think, you know what? Let's carry it on and keep on speaking to people. So
do that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, I think the whole, well, I'm a bit brighter now, sorry. It's great. I mean, I love using Zoom. We use it in the band ourselves to discuss things, and you know, it's like Messenger as well on Facebook. That was just pretty much, you do the same thing with the screens. It's just nice to see everyone's face every now and again, isn't it? As opposed to just talking over the phone.
I tell you what, before the first lockdown, I didn't even know what Zoom was. And as soon as I discovered it, I could not have run the business at all without Zoom. Well, you know, we've had enough chats on it, mate, haven't we? And certainly me and my Scouse mate there have had tons. But it is, I mean, God alone knows what it would have been like if this hadn't existed.
I wish I could buy shares in that. I should have bought shares in that 2 years ago. You'd be laughing all the way to the bank right now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd be sitting there going, never mind being a rock star. I'm loaded me anyway. I bought shares in Zoom.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, buddy. So one of the things we wanted to talk to you about is, obviously, we'll talk about it with everybody. We talk about is not so much last year as such, because I think everybody already knows what kind of happened to the music scene last year. But I personally know that at the beginning of this year, when everything was looking rosy for you guys and you were bringing out your second EP, that the kind of world turned upside down for you. So would you like to tell us all about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's pretty well documented, I think, on our history. You know, we don't shy away from that because that's not the sort of band that we are. We're just basically a couple of guys having a great time making music, and you know, we had you know, Kellen and Ched before in February. We made this lovely record, and obviously, I think the lockdown just potentially maybe changed people's priorities in the way that things operated, and you know, it was a big change for everyone. So they stepped away from their positions in the band around February time, unexpectedly. But you know, like, it's one of those things that happens. You know, life's unexpected stuff happens, crops up. No ill will to anyone for that. That's just, you know, they needed to be true to what they were about, and they were. And we've got nothing but respect for those guys. But then we have some. Oh my goodness me! Look how bright. Wow. Yeah, we've had 2 new guys come on board in Jake and Tom, and since they've come on board, it's just been fantastic. The vibe's been really great, and you know, just building back. It's a little bit of a setback because obviously when you're working as a 4-piece for so long, you don't have to practice certain things because you've just done it on stage for so long. So going back and then having these guys come in is obviously a little bit of a back step, but in terms of what it could have been, I think we're actually in a really great place. So that's pretty much a summary of that. Yeah, we had 2 people. We don't have them anymore. We have 2 different people now. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I mean, I'm not going to undersell it or oversell it because I think the best advice to people would be to come and see us play live, because that's really where you're going to see what the effect of what these people can offer is. It's going to be there. And again, I'm not going to oversell it because I don't need to. These guys are doing a fantastic job. And when they perform, you can just tell they're having a really great time. So that's something to entice people in. If you're not interested in coming into the shows already, you know, that's a raving review. I dare you to have a bad time. That's it.
So what was it like? How did you go about finding the new guys? You know, especially when it was still basically lockdown, wasn't it, for most people?
I'm pretty relentless. So, I mean, with the internet nowadays, you could sort of you have 24-hour access to sort of everyone and everything if they allow you to. So, you know, just sites. You know, you got stuff like Bandmix, Join My Band, and like Google. I put adverts out. We had massive help from obviously yourself. Forge was fantastic with everything that went on and helped us reach out to people. So it was just like, I think it was just a case of just I used my social media profile, and so did Aaron, and so did the band, to just spread out the word and see who was around and who was available. And I think the key was to really the way I worded the ads, and it's just a case of, you know, I made them almost unanswerable in terms of what was required, because you get a lot of people who would come along, or they'd be like, yeah, I'm interested, and then the next day, oh, it's not for me. Or like, you know, you'd have a jam, or like you try and get together and have a jam session, and they'd have one go, and they'd be like, yeah, this is really great, and then they'd leave. They'd be like, oh, it's not for me now. And it's just like, you know, when you put an ad out with the wording that I put into it, it's very, you know, people who are answering that one are not going to be half-arsing it. Do you know what I mean? Can I say that?
It certainly wasn't unambiguous. That's a certainty. It was very focused.
I mean, then if someone was interested, I would then chat to them on the phone, and I would describe myself at best as very intense, especially when it comes to my band, because it's like my child. You know, I don't have kids or anything like that, and this is really important, especially myself and Hammersley. And you know, like, we're really, really particular about it, because we want people to share our drive and our passion. And there's we've got a very unique bond of what we do, and I think that you have to fit into that, you know, really, really well. I mean, I'll tell you now, when Tom come in the room, you know, the guy, our new singer, he didn't even sing a note, and we knew he'd got the job based on the personality and the energy that was just coming off the bloke. So I mean, you say that's bad, but and then he's actually delivered some amazing results off the back of that. I mean, he didn't. It wasn't like you walk in the room, you're hired. It was, you know, I think me and Hamzy both felt at the time like this guy's going to get it, just because of the way he presented himself, the way he was carrying himself, his attitude, his like aura. And I think that's just something that, you know, it's really kind of unspoken when that kind of happens, and it's really rare when that happens. So to have it, to be lucky enough to have that, you know, we had that previously with our previous frontman, and then to have it again, it was really, really lucky. But yeah, I was persistent, really, really persistent with the ads on what I was doing, and I don't like to make excuses for stuff not being done. So when people were like, I can't do this because of this, I can't do that because of that, it was, you know, people were replying, they're like, let's get on it, let's do it. I've learned these songs, let's go. And then you could kind of tell that these people are like really up for it. And again, I'm unbearable at the best of times. So, you know what I mean? I think it's just a case if someone can manage my personality as well as learning songs and factoring in all this new information, and, you know, then putting money into this thing and traveling and you know, then I think, you know, they're obviously dedicated to what they do.
So tell us a little bit about, like, you know what I mean, the actual writing process. You've got a new singer in, you've got a new bass player in.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of myself and Hammersley. I mean, it's very much the core of it's myself and Aaron, just based on our chemistry, what we've been doing for so long. You know, we're just very, very connected on what we do. We share a very similar vision, similar vibes. So it's really quite easy for us to put stuff together. The writing process before has probably got a lot similar to how it is now, whereas like, this is the baseline of what we've done. This is a song we've structured. It's recorded on like an iPhone. I mean, it wouldn't be the best quality recording, but it's audible in terms of structure. That gets sent out to Tom and Jake, or Jake will come and sit with us and we'll write with him, or, you know, we're just basically structuring riffs together, and then Tom will put lyrics to it, and then he'll come back, and then we'll go, have you got something yet? And then we'll put it in the rehearsal room, and we'll just bang it out together. It's a bit different now because we have like our own HQ, so we've got a big unwarranted area that I'm not going to disclose to you because it's our HQ, not yours. It's where we keep all of our gear, and we have you know, all of our stuff's there, and it's a big space where we can hang out and chill out and sort of use whenever we want. So now we've got that space, it's kind of a lot easier to write because it's sort of in between everyone. We can turn up whenever we want to, and then everyone can just get together there, and like we can work on stuff acoustically, and then as opposed to waiting, go, now we've got to book a practice room to go and try it out, we can just go, well, let's just transpose what we're doing here straight over onto a live scene, because we've got a live setup where the whole band is set up as if we're going to perform live. And yeah, it's just then you kind of know what works and what doesn't. You kind of know when you're writing it if it works or not, because, you know, you'll be like, this is shite, you know what I mean? If it's not hitting you right, or the vibe's not there, it's just, you can feel it, and you worry sometimes that you're resurrecting bad stuff, but there's normally, if you've left material in the past, it's been left there for a reason. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's the writing process in a nutshell. Myself and Hamzy do a bit of the core writing, and then, you know, the other guys dive in as and when. So the structure is pretty much devised by myself and Hammersley. There's been a few new ones that we've done where Tom has brought us finished songs, because Tom's a very established songwriter himself. So it just, if it sounds good and feels right, and it's quite easy to come together, then we don't see any point in really messing with it too much, because it's just feeling right with what we're doing. So that's pretty much.
Has the sound changed much, do you think?
Yes, mate. I think so. I mean, like, obviously Tom's a very different singer. You know, I think it's difficult for me to say now, because we've done 2 shows under this lineup, which is essentially a new band, you know, especially for those guys who've come in associate or a new band. And my expectation is, like I said, I'm very unbearable at the best of times. So, you know, having me there is like, it's never like, this was good, this was good, this was good. It was like, this sucks, we need to address this. The stuff that sucks, we need to address. So, I mean, the feedback that Tom's had over from 2 shows, from the audience and his reactions, gauging what the audience think, and his own personal level of where he needs to be at as well, it's just insane. Now, the last 2 sort of practice sessions we've done before, I mean, we have a show tomorrow in Chesterfield, so you'll see there, but like, he's really kind of, you know, we were trying out some falsetto stuff with the voice and trying out the higher stuff, and I don't think he was really liking how it was working. So now he's lent into like more power and more like of a scream element, and just started to really just define what he's doing, and he's starting to become more comfortable with stuff and relaxing into these things that, you know, he's come in and learned a whole back catalogue of stuff that's not his, you know what I mean? That's a big job to someone who's trying to feel that out, and then he's got to try and, how's he going to express that on stage when you're trying to express something that's not your artwork? I think it's difficult, you know. With the songs that are his, he's a little more expressive, but yeah, like, definitely, I think probably from the show on Friday onwards, I think everyone will see a different side of Tom in terms of like just what he's offering to us as a front man. But yeah, the sound's obviously different, you know. Half the band is not the same as it used to be. I mean, the core of it's the same, because myself and Hammersley again are at the core of it, but you know, we're not interested in trying to replicate what we had. We're trying to, you know, we're interested in what we've got now with this group of people, and what's genuine and real to us, and what resonates with these guys is different to what resonated before, you know. The one thing I will say is that songs aren't written about everyone's peril anymore. Do you know what I mean? A lot of the songs before were written about everyone's turmoil, and we tend to stray away from that now. And it's just, Tom's more into just, if it sounds good and it feels right, that's what I'm gonna do. And it doesn't have to necessarily carry a message, but sometimes it will, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a lot easier and a lot more relaxed, and it is just, it's all about how it feels. And I think that's something that's really, really important. And that's carried over from previous, because that's what we were doing before. But again, with terms of like, we're not looking too deep into things anymore. We're not looking too into like, what does this mean? And what does this mean? And does this have to mean something? We're asking ourselves, does it have to? If it feels good and sounds right, why does it have to? You know what I mean? If we're all doing it.
Would it be fair to say it's more from the heart than cerebral?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's more about feeling than it is about thought necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. That's probably I wish I couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah,
that's cool.
What you like, you know, obviously you've got your own setup in your own HQ, which is pretty cool. Like, you know, obviously when you're practicing songs, do you practice your stage presence and stuff like that? What direction people are going? Because a lot of bands don't understand.
Yeah.
There's 2 different sides. There's amazing songs that you've got to write, but there's also a show that you've got to put on.
We're entertainers, man. Like, do you know what I mean? We're expecting people to come through that door and pay money to watch us. You know what I mean? Like, who the F are we to demand someone come through those doors if we're not going to work on giving them something that they need to be part of and remember and go away from? You know, we're not just musicians, we're performers as well. So, you know, if you're bored watching us, then we're not doing our job properly. You know what I mean? And a lot of people think that things that my motto for the guys is, let's rehearse our spontaneity, because it's what essentially happens, you know what I mean? Like, stuff that looks like it's just spontaneous, and some of it is, make no mistake, some of it is, but like a lot of it's rehearsed. So you'll have like a gist of like, this is can you see my cat in the background there? It's some of it's very, very much rehearsed. So like, I don't know with regards to like when they step up to the microphones to do back and when they step back, that stuff, not so much, because I trust the guys at the front to really just know what they're doing. It's more about like, what are we going to do in terms of like, how are we going to drag this section out? How are we going to interact with people here? What's going to be said? And when is it going to be said? When do we dip the set? When do we decide to hit this heavy song? When do we decide to go and just let this ring out? So that kind of stuff is definitely rehearsed. And having the HQ is pretty much a massive part of that, because you're able to do so. You're able to set up as a stage performance and start messing with stuff like that. I think that's really, really important to what we do. I mean, the more you do as a band live, the more you find out what works and what doesn't, because there's probably stuff that we'll do in our set for the next 6 months that within 12 to 2 years will probably disappear because we'll find something better that will go down better. But it's about going out there and testing it with a live audience, because, you know what I mean, we can all sit in a room telling each other we're great. Do you know what I mean? We have to go out there and be, you know, and impress people who are not in any way connected to what we're doing. But again, my advice to everyone in the band is, like, don't try and be something that you're not, and no one does. So that's why I think it really works sometimes with what we're doing, because no one is just trying to fool anyone with anything. We're just like, this is what we do. We love doing it. We're having a great time. We'd love for you to be part of that with us. And 90% of the time, the people who watch that will be like, actually, yeah. It's hard for them not to, because they can see how much fun we're having, and it's difficult for them not to be involved with that as well. Does that make sense, or am I going insane?
No, it makes total sense. It's like I once said to somebody, I used to manage a lot of people as in work, and we had a guy that worked in the warehouse with us, and he was a nervous type, and he smiled all the time with nerves. But then if you bollocked him for something, he smiled even harder. And I used to say, you try telling him off when he's smiling at you. Try bollocking somebody that's smiling at you. And it's kind of like that. What you're saying is that it's hard for an audience to not get drawn in by performers who are quite clearly enjoying it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all the time, you know what I mean? And we rehearse in a closed room without anyone there. And we still get as much joy out of that as we do, you know, when people are there and enjoying it as well, you get more out of it, obviously. But we're still getting the same amount of joy playing with each other in a private room to no one, because we love what we do. And when you're trying to entertain people, it's about making sure that they go away with something special. I think, you know, having something that they are personally attached to, because it's about them when we're playing, you know what I mean? They're enjoying it, and it's about how do we bring these guys into what we're doing, you know what I mean? And that's the stuff that really makes a good live show, and that's the stuff that I think that's probably why we've got to where we have so swiftly in this short space of time. It's just because we're about having the people who are there having a good time with us should be celebrated as the champions of what we do, because they're allowing us to have an even better time than we already do, and we have a good time already. So do you know what I mean? It's not like it needs to be amplified. It's great already.
So what's in line for the end of 2021 and 2022? What can we see from Black Tree Vultures?
Well, you know, I'd love to tell you, but no, it's difficult to say at the moment, because we're working on some new material. We did do some recordings, but we've listened back to them, and we're kind of looking at it going, actually, we think we can make these songs better than they are. So, you know, we need to spend a little more time on the songs and look at them. So we're not in a rush to rush any material out. We'll probably have a single out, I'd imagine, in the new year or close to that time. We're not rushing anything, because, again, it just needs to be good. And we're not in the business of trying to cheat anyone out of a good time. So, including us, we all need to be happy with it and make sure that it's really true about what we are and true to form. So, yeah, probably some new music, potentially some new merchandise to go along with that. There'll be some shows in 2022. 2021, we've obviously got some shows to see out the rest of the year. There's plenty of shows around. They're all available on our website and on our Facebook page, and on our, you know, all of our copious amounts of social media. It's all out there. It's all advertised fairly well. Come and see us if you see one that's close to you, type thing. But yeah, so lots of gigs, more writing, evolving the set, you know, testing out songs, meeting new people, going new places, keep the momentum going, and really getting back to where we probably should have been. I mean, probably 3 weeks after our record come out before with that one, despite the hiccups we had in lineup changes. But yeah, so we're just going to keep rolling with it and keep the good times coming, to be honest. There's no real pressure on us, but from anyone to do anything. You know, we've established ourselves to being able to come back. You know, I think the pressure was, are these boys going to be able to recover from having half a band lineup changes? We've done a couple of shows now that have demonstrated yes, if not better than we were before. So, you know, the pressure is now completely off, and it's about building something that's really spectacular and unique to people who come and see us, and just, you know, meriting that the people who buy our merchandise, buy our CDs, buy our tickets, they need to feel like it's worth their money. And it is, in our opinion, because, you know, we're not forcing you to join us with us. We're just having a great time, and we want you to be part of it with us because you want to, you know, be part of it with us because it's a good time. There you go. Cut that out and put it on the poster.
I think the thing I mean, if people are watching this that are in new, younger bands, because that's primarily what Scouser and the Scot's about, sharing that information. I think the things that they can take away from this is that even when something quite devastating happens to a band or it seems devastating, the few things that you can do is get on it straight away, decide what you want, be very focused on what you want and go for it. And then once you've found them, it's a case then of working hard. But the chemistry among the people is probably more important or as important as the chemistry musically. The actual personalities also makes a big difference. And I think really in the early conversations that we had when it happened was you weren't going to put any pressure on yourself. If it took till next year before you found the right people, you're going to do that, but you actually found them really quickly. But that was the case. You weren't going to rush and just take people on just so you could get gigging again. And I think that's an important feature of what you did, right?
I completely agree with you. And again, like, we have no way of telling the future, and we have no way of reading what's going to happen tomorrow, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down in the line. But what we do is we're honest with each other in the band. And, you know, like, I'm not going to say that we might have lineup changes again in the future. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things of at the moment, everything seems grand. So, like, we're not going to go and try and cause any harm to that. So, you know, if someone's unhappy or it doesn't, like, you know, people's priorities change. Everyone's juggling a life as well as trying to do this. And we need to all be able to offer our best to this. So in terms of being able to do that, you know, I used to be a right hard ass on that. Like, no, you're affecting my business. You're affecting this. You need to just, we're going, this is it, you know, and that's not going to generate a very productive environment that people want to be part of. So you have to be accommodating and quite strict at the same time. But yeah, the personality thing is massive. And, you know, people change over time, you know, their characters develop, people mature, things happen, and people sometimes end up, you know, that's a prime example of why we had a lineup change, because, you know, people's priorities changed, their personalities changed. We spent time apart and we ended up evolving as people, and it didn't really work out that way. You know, I'm not saying that might not happen again. I don't want it to happen again, you know, but
I don't either, funny enough.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? There's stuff that perseverance is key. And again, as long as you're with the right people and in the right network of being supported by yourselves and your fan base and being transparent about what's going on, then I don't see that there being a major issue. Do you know what I mean? We're not, you know, on the hook for a 15 album deal. We don't have to churn out material. We're having a good time. There's plenty of people around musician wise who, you know, that's the one thing that happened to us when we did have the shock lineup changes, that the community that came around us and offered to fill in and stand in for us was phenomenal. And, you know, it gives you a bit of perspective on what happens in terms of the bands that support each other, that you play with and your colleagues and stuff, the support they offer each other. And, you know, that was mind blowing to myself and Hammersley when it happened as well. So, you know, I'm not going to say this is Black Tree Vultures right now, and, you know, I hope for the foreseeable it stays that way. But at the same point, I've got no way of, you know, look, I can walk out of here and get hit by a bus. Then they're in the market for a new drummer. So it's just one of those things where, you know, I don't want to say stuff indefinite, because then I feel like I'll jinx it. So I just say we're taking every day as it comes, and we're really enjoying it at the moment. And hopefully everyone can see that and it's reflected in what we do.
Yeah, just don't go outside for a day or two then, Jonno, please.
We would feel bad if you just
don't mind.
predicted it. If you predicted your own death, mate, it wouldn't be good on national TV.
So, Jonno, I've got a question for you. Obviously, like, you know, we always talk about pimping your band out and stuff like that, and we always want to say, what are your links to your band?
Well, it's facebook.com/Black Tree Vultures. You go onto that Google page, type in Black Tree Vultures, or you got btv-bands.co.uk. If you just type in Black Tree Vultures on any internet platform, we'll be there in spades. You know, we've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all Black Tree Vultures. Excuse me, TikTok, Black Tree Vultures, website, BTV Band. Like I said, it's all over the place.
What I'll do, you know, I'm a nice guy, and, like, you know what I mean, I always want to look after me mates. I'll put the links down below for you. So, guys, if you want to check these Black Tree Vultures out, click on the links, check them out, go and see what they're like. Yeah, go download the music, give them some support, give them some love, because they are an awesome band.
Oh, you're too kind for me, sir. I would say as well, if there's any young musicians out there who want any advice or tips or just things I've learned through process of trial and error from my copious amounts of that aged me devastatingly. I'm only 18, do you know that? I look about 55. If any young musicians are out there who want any advice, I'm more than happy to give it. By all opinion, my opinion means zero in the grand scheme of things. I'm no expert on anything, but that's all life is a accumulation of experiences and processes of trial and error. I'm more than happy to help anyone. And my Instagram is Jonno_Smythe. You can find me on all the platforms as well as under probably the same link. So follow me as well. So yeah, it'll be down there, down there, or up there, or wherever I am on your screen, because I'm up on the top left on mine. So I'm down here, up there. It's around.
I'll move you around. Don't worry about it.
We have the power.
So, John, any other information that we can pry from this gentleman, or do you think we have enough?
I think we have enough.
I think we've got it there, Jonno. Is there any final comment from yourself before we end the Scouser and the Scot tonight?
All I would say is just keep an eye out on all the Black Tree Vultures social medias and just follow what we're doing, because it's a really fun journey. And the more people we're meeting and building across this, it's adding to a sense of community that I really didn't realize I needed in my life, because when it was taken away from lockdown, you do realize how much you miss that kind of thing. But we have also a fan group for everyone who wants to network amongst themselves and build that community. I mean, I encourage anyone who is a fan of what we do to join that community, because it is so supportive, and the people in there are honestly just some of the best people I've ever met in my life. And that is the Vulture Committee. That's what it's called. So look for that group. It's a private group. You can go and join it and network in there, or down there. Yeah, in the link pile. It'll be in the link pile. So
pile as well, a big fucking pile.
There you go.
Yeah. So, John, I think it's down to you to finish the show, mate.
All right, dude. Well, thanks to Jonno from Black Tree Vultures for spending the time with us. It was great. And you know what to do. If you like this, then what to do is hit that cowbell and subscribe.